Welcome back to The Takeout. Thanks for hanging out with us. President Trump has created the Board of Peace. It's for Gaza redevelopment. But even those close to the president would acknowledge that's an over-the-horizon thing. But there's a humanitarian need right now. And it is, in a lot of ways, still desperate. I talked earlier today with the CEO of Save the Children about that very topic. Two questions on Gaza. First, people can read and see in their phones or other mechanisms the Rafah crossing has reopened. What does that mean as a practical matter for the work you do?
Well, we're hopeful that it will mean that people can now come in and out of Gaza, that people can be reunified with their family and friends when they were out, that medical evacuations can happen again. People who need urgent medical care need to be able to travel to Cairo or elsewhere to get that attention. We're also hopeful that over time, it would also allow goods to come in, commercial goods, but also humanitarian supplies to come in over that border again. And that would be massively helpful for any of the organizations that work there to continue their work.
Second question, describe the humanitarian situation within Gaza now, if you can.
This is, two things are true at the same time. It is relatively better than before the peace agreement. There is more food available in Gaza.
More water.
There is more water.
Some more medical supplies.
There is a little bit more. Markets are reopened. Some of the bakeries have reopened, so there is fresh bread, etc. Again, at the same time, it is not nearly enough. We still have thousands of children in hospitals being treated for malnutrition. We still see way too many mothers being being severely malnourished. We need to get to them. We need to get to them fast with the right treatment levels. We are still not able to always open our child-friendly spaces where children can be children and they get trauma counseling and support. We need more supplies in. We need to be able to get more humanitarian workers in to also relieve some of the people who have been there now nonstop for the last 2 years and who are exhausted and need that extra support.
Some of my audience may remember rushes upon vehicles in the most dire circumstances there. Is the distribution a little bit more normalized, less frantic?
It is less frantic and a little bit more normalized. At the same time, I would also say, yes, there is more water. At the same time, there's also still not real, children, and we've seen this, right? It's winter, it's super cold. The tents are wildly, not appropriate for the weather. So we see mothers trying to clothe their children in summer clothing because that's all they have, because we haven't been able to bring in winter clothes for children. We are not able to bring materials in to have sturdier tents, better shelter options for people. Homes are destroyed. They'll have to be in tents for quite a while. Clean water. Children are still playing in sewage water. There is no waste disposal of solid waste. So you can imagine what kind of a health risk that is, particularly for people whose immune system is already really compromised because they didn't have enough food. So the needs are still vast. We are really looking forward to seeing more land crossings opened and more supplies and humanitarian workers being able to get in.
It's a fool's errand to compare suffering one place to another.
It is.
Talk to me about Sudan.
So, look, in terms of the numbers, the largest humanitarian crisis in the world today. Millions and millions of people, 40 million people displaced, millions of children, women, men malnourished. Again, in Darfur and Kordofan, in the west and southwest in particular, lots of clashes, really dangerous territory. Save the Children works in all these places, but for instance, our office in Darfur had to be closed and work had to be suspended because it was simply too dangerous for our colleagues to go out and do the work. So the ongoing violence really needs to stop. That's first and foremost important. And then humanitarian corridors, humanitarian workers who work in areas that are held by one side of the conflict, and they also need to work on the other side of the conflict. They need to be ensured that they can do that safely without repercussions for them. So that's the most urgent thing that needs to happen there.
And the scale in terms of numbers?
25 million people in humanitarian need. The violence against women and girls in particular, I think, is off the scale. There is, the fact that you could see pools of blood from space in the area of El Fasher when there was that siege in November, December, that tells you something. So I think the numbers are going to be underreported no matter what, in terms of the violence, the people who are killed, the people who are abused. When we talk to our colleagues, they tell us if they speak to the women and girls that they encounter and support, I think 98% of them has had an experience of abuse. So it's an unbelievable humanitarian tragedy. Again, a man-made humanitarian tragedy that can be prevented, dealt with, responded to if humanitarian actors are allowed to do their work, and if a peace agreement, or at least a ceasefire for now, can be agreed to by the warring parties.
You deal in the world of ifs and
Indeed.
better realities. The CEO of Save the Children, Janti Soeripto. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.